Probably. Thank you.
You're welcome. I gotcha.
Welcome to the First Unitarian Church of Orlando. I am Sandy Cathern, a member of the congregation. Welcome to this beautiful May Sunday. With me in today's service are Reverend Margalie Belizaire, our music director, Aubrey Connelly-Candelario, with the Chalice Choir, as well as Linnea and Ted Nelson. Our special musical guests today are some of the ringers of the Magic of Bronze, Central Florida's premier community handbell ensemble under the direction of Kathryn Jurado. We welcome all to join us as we explore our Unitarian Universalist faith. I'm doing this because I hit the iPad. And now I have to find myself, okay? We welcome all to join us as we explore our Unitarian Universalist faith, which draws us into a community of justice seekers with a commitment to lifelong spiritual growth and compassionate service to the community. Whoever you are, whoever you love, you are welcome here. You are welcome here regardless of your color, national origin, gender, sexual orientation, age, physical or mental abilities, economic status, or religious background. Families, we are so happy to have you here. When we sing This Little Light of Mine during the service, youth and children are welcome to meet our child care folks and youth advisors in the lobby. As a Unitarian Universalist congregation, we are a non-creedal community and do not subscribe to a specific set of beliefs. We live by a covenant that encourages ethical behavior, affirms democracy, celebrates the worth of each individual, and unites us in a search for truth in meaning. We welcome you. For more information about our congregation, go to orlandouu.org or email welcometeam@orlandouu.org. We have two special announcements today. Please join us for Wrestling with Our Understanding of Racism, taking place at 11:45 a.m. in Room B in Gore Hall and via Zoom. Our topic on Sunday will be We Can Do This, Faith, Conflict, and Anti-Racism, a presentation from the 2020 virtual GA. Sandy Cathern, me, will facilitate the conversation. The link to access the Zoom and for the links to the GA session and an article on Stop Woke Act can be found on the weekly update. If you're among the many who join One You Sunday worship services online, be aware that we also live stream on Zoom. Attendance on the Zoom platform has been considerably low in comparison to our other online platforms, so we are considering discontinuing it, except for special occasions. If that's a platform that you'd like us to continue live streaming on, please let us know by attending the service there. The link is posted on the weekly update. All other announcements are on slides before and after the service. All have links in the weekly update or on our website. Thanks again for being here in person or online today. Let's get started.
Please say the words with me as we light our chalice. In the light of truth and in the warmth of love, we gather to seek, to sustain, and to share. Please rise and body your spirit and join me in singing our opening hymn, number 188. The words will be projected on the screen.
Good morning. 188 is a round. We'll sing it one time through together, and then 3 times as a round. We'll go high voices first, low voices second. You self-identify. Together and come, come, whoever you are, wanderer, worshiper, lover of leaving. Ours is no caravan of despair. Come, yet again, come, 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 whoever you are, come, come, whoever you are, ours is no caravan of despair, ours is no caravan of despair. Come, come, whoever you are, wanderer,
It is good to be with you this morning on this first day of May, May Day, or depending on where you are in the world, it might be Monday instead. As we gather this morning to worship and explore beauty. I call us to worship with the words of Reverend Suzelle Lynch, Nurturing Beauty. Our community is filled with beauty. When you open the door to greet me, that's where the beauty begins. When you share with me what is important to you, beauty is there as I listen. When we join hands to practice compassion, beauty's heart blooms like a flower. When we teach or learn or work for justice, beauty abounding sparks joy and all. Let's light the chalice for beauty now, the beauty we seek, the beauty we share, the beauty we nurture together. Come, beloveds, let us worship together.
Today's story is about our hearts. Your hearts, my heart, all of our hearts. And how through our heart scars, we all have them, how they create beauty through our eyes and through our love for one another. So a young person was standing in the middle of the town proclaiming that they had the most beautiful heart in the whole valley. Ooh, a large crowd gathered and they all admired this heart, for it was perfect. There was not a mark or a flaw on it. But an elder appeared at the front of the crowd and said, your heart is not nearly as beautiful as mine. Well, the crowd and the young person looked at the elder's heart. It was beating strongly, but full of scars. It had places where pieces had been removed and other pieces put in, but they didn't quite fit right. And there were even several jagged edges. The young person looked at the elder's heart and laughed. You must be joking. Compare your heart with mine. Mine is perfect, and yours is a mess of scars and tears. Yes, said the elder, yours is perfect looking, but I would never trade with you. You see, every scar represents a person to whom I have given my love. I tear out a piece of my heart and I give it to them. And often they give me a piece of their heart, which fits in the empty place in my heart, and because the pieces aren't quite exact, I have some rough edges. Sometimes I've given pieces of my heart away, and the other person hasn't returned a piece of their heart to me. These are the empty gouges. Giving love is taking a chance. Although these gouges are painful, they stay open, reminding me that I have love for these people too. And I hope someday they may return and fill the space I have waiting there for them. So now do you see what true beauty is? The young person stood silently with tears running down their cheeks before walking up to the elder, reaching into his perfect, young, and beautiful heart and ripping a piece out, and then offered it to the elder. The elder took this offering, placed it in their own heart, and then took a piece from the old scarred heart and placed it in the wound of the young person's heart. It fit, but not perfectly, as there were some jagged edges. The person looked at this heart, not perfect anymore, but more beautiful than ever, since love from the elder's heart flowed into the young person's heart. Please remain seated as we sing our children and youth to their activities with This Little Light of Mine.
Good morning. I'm Patty from the Caring Circle. If you want to contribute to our sharing of joys or concerns for the week, you can send an email to joysandconcerns@orlandouu.org. During the week, or if you're attending the service in person, you may fill out a piece of paper or a card at the registration table and hand it to an usher before the start of the service. We have no specific joys or concerns shared today, but as always, we hold those who suffer and those who celebrate in our hearts.
Member Barbara Elrod passed away a little over a week ago on April 21st, and today we light a chalice in her honor. Until her death on the 21st at age 99, Barb was the oldest 1U member. She lived in the Mayflower and Winter Park and had not been attending services for quite some time now. She was a very active volunteer in the community with social justice issues and was very active in the 1U Alliance. From her the following is from Barbara's family. Barbara's groundbreaking work in women's rights included being a full-time counselor for an outpatient surgical center, solidifying her pro-choice beliefs and helping to start the Planned Parenthood chapter in Orlando. She loved her church community and friends. Crossword puzzles kept her sharp. We light this candle in remembrance of Barbara Elrod. May her memory live on in all who knew and loved her. Bring all of your joys and all of your sorrows as we come together. Come as you are. We always encourage you to come as you are because your whole self is welcome in this sacred space we are creating together. For Barb's loved ones, for joys and sorrows shared, and for those held close to our hearts, let us pray. Let us celebrate. Let's send each other healing energy. I invite us into meditative prayer with the words of Reverend Lynn Cox, which will be followed by a moment of silence. We give thanks for this beautiful day and for the company of those assembled here. Thank you for the breezes of change, clearing our heads and bringing fresh ideas. May they cleanse our minds of the oppressions and ism that divide us. Thank you for the flame of hope, the heat of righteous anger, the warmth of compassion, and the fire of commitment. For may they bubble the cauldron of transformation. Thank you for oceans of love, rivers of connection, tears of relief, and pools of serenity. May healing water flows over us and through us and among us, wearing down the sharp rocks of despair to bring joy in the morning. Thank you for the good earth beneath us, around us, and with us. May we take this clay and co-create a new realm of justice and beauty. Thank you for all these and more. We accept our gifts and commit to building, sculpting, painting, singing, and dancing them to life, to abundant life. So be it, and blessed be. Remain seated and in a meditative state as we sing our centering hymn, number 1053. How could anyone? Words will be posted on the screen. We invite you into the practice of generosity. Your financial support allows the many ministries of the First Unitarian Church of Orlando to thrive. You can make an offering online to support the many ministries of this congregation. Simply go to orlandouu.org and click the Donate button in the upper right corner, or send a text, or mail a check. You may support this month's Share the Plate partner, Jewish Family Services, by finding a link to their organization in our weekly newsletter. Since 1978, Jewish Family Services Orlando has been providing a variety of human services to the Central Florida community with the goal of stabilizing individuals and families in crisis and enhancing the quality of life across generations to people of all walks of life. Jewish Family Services Orlando's family of services are designed to prevent hunger and homelessness, as well as provide mental health counseling and senior services. We will have a guest speaker on Sunday, May 15th, to talk to us about the organization. Please donate generously and let us know you donated by dropping a line to Gabby, our program assistant. Somos una gente del arco iris. We are a rainbow people, and Gabby will forgive me that pronunciation. The rainbow is an arc of light brilliantly displaying all the colors of the visible spectrum, all the colors that combine to make the astounding beauty of our world, all the colors that combine to reflect the astounding diversity of human expression. Nous sommes d'un peuple des arcs-en-ciel. We are red people who respect others. We are orange people who offer faith and kind treatment. We are yellow people yearning for learning. Somos una gente del arco iris. We are green people who grow in our search for truth and meaning. We are blue indigo people insisting on freedom, love, and peace. We are violet people, valuing the web that does not cease and we did not create. Nous sommes d'un peuple des arcs-en-ciel. Unitarian Universalism shows up refracted through thousands of different human expressions and experiences, through individuals living our promises, through covenanted communities, through our associations, and our actions. We are a rainbow people. Together, we give, heals, and transforms our world. This is our covenant, our bridge of heaven, our dream, and our reality. The flame of the chalice lit around our world is the source of light and the pot of gold at the end of that rainbow. The flame of that chalice is filled with the light we bring and nurtured by our hopes and dreams. We know the rainbow begins with you and with me. For somos una gente del arco iris, nous sommes d'un peuple des arcs-en-ciel, we are a rainbow people. Let us grow the rainbow again today. By Naomi King. on beauty. I was listening to a TED Talk recently by this woman who was talking about her high school days and her being on her school swim team. She was an amazing swimmer. She also loved being in the water. She adored swimming. Not only that, she was at the top of her swim team. She was one of the best swimmers. But she ended up quitting, not just the team, but swimming altogether. She did this not because she suddenly fell out of love with swimming or could no longer do it skillfully. She gave up swimming and did so because she did not like how she looked in a swimsuit. Even worse, she did not like how she perceived others to see her in a swimsuit. So here's this activity that brought this young person such joy, such happiness, and made her feel powerful. However, she stopped participating in it because she felt judged, lacking in beauty, at least not enough for a swimsuit. The message she received from her community was that she needed to look a certain way for her body to be swimsuit perfect, or at least close to that. And since she didn't, since her body was not swimsuit perfect, she felt the only recourse was to quit the team. And the same TED Talk, the presenter, the same woman, made body positivity, or body positive, wait, what is the phrase? Positive body image, her life work. And she did a survey during one of the projects she was working on and asked a group of women the question about how they felt about their bodies. And 100% of the responders spoke of their bodies as from an external point of view, from how they were seen instead of how they were themselves feeling. And then depending on how they felt other people saw them, and if they felt other people saw them negatively, they view themselves in a negative way, people especially close to them, and felt unworthy of love or even life at times. So is that what beauty is? Is beauty one-faceted, someone else's expectation or desire of what we ought to look like or what something ought to look like? An expectation that might be unreachable or even unrealistic, eye of the beholder type thing. And not living up to that expectation can sometimes be held against the person. And then we end up then feeling not good enough, less than, not worthy of love, unless we can meet that expectation, and unless we can meet somebody else's view of what beauty is. Perfection and glamour are not the same as beauty. I was watching a rerun episode of the show Golden Girls a few nights ago. I love that show. Have you ever watched it? Okay, all right. Yeah, I found that show quite humorous. But in this particular episode, the four women were talking about how gross it was when a woman did not shave her underarms. Here is something that naturally happens to a woman's underarms. Hair grows there, right? Yet, it was talked about as if it was disgusting. And those who didn't remove those hairs were deemed undesirable. The implication here is that if a woman wants to be considered desirable, she must shave her armpits, lest be labeled gross. Mind you, I'm not saying I have a personal attachment to one way or another, but is that what beauty is? The removal of what we consider imperfections from our bodies. You probably already noticed, but armpit hairs prevent skin-to-skin contact, which reduces friction when we engage in activities that require us to move our arms like this. Interestingly, though, they might help in attracting mates because of the pheromones that they release and underarm odors. This is a naturally producing chemical that plays a role in sexual attraction. Armpits, hair traps and makes that odor stronger, right? Which then draws mates to us. So it's ironic, right, that in search for perfection, one of the things that our bodies do naturally to attract mates, we have deemed to be not beautiful enough to be on female bodies. Perfection and glamour should not be confused with beauty. In The Time for All Ages, that story that Linnea shared with us earlier, we saw how this young person considers her heart as beautiful because there was no mark or flaw in it, and found it laughable that a heart full of scars with places where pieces had been removed and other pieces put in, but those pieces didn't quite fit in and had several jagged edges. She found it hilarious that such an imperfect thing could be more beautiful than a perfect thing. But we are told in the story that the imperfect heart was beating strongly. In other words, it was doing what it was meant to do. It was breathing the owner's body, taking care of it, keeping it alive. It was a heart that had given and received love, a heart that had been hurt and disappointed, yet remained compassionate and forgiving. And after describing such a heart, its owner says to the young person, "So now do you see what true beauty is?" I imagine that she's saying that true beauty is about a thing doing what it was meant to do and allowing itself to be changed by doing that very thing, allowing itself to become less perfect from wear and tear, yet more beautiful from that same wear and tear. Beauty is manifested in the way we engage one another, friends. So it is here in our community and the way we care for one another by being compassionate and loving, opening ourselves up to listening when that is what's required of us, when we celebrate joys with one another, and when we share the weight of sorrows and burdens. Perfection and glamour are not the same as beauty. And when we see beauty, when we only see beauty in what is glamorous, we fail to understand its full depth. Glamour is external and remains mostly at the surface level, like a veneer. So it's not necessarily intrinsic or inherent. And what could be dangerous about confusing glamour with beauty is that sometimes we assign internal beauty to glamorous people. We see, for example, how glamorous movie stars and other celebrities are sought after for opinions on things they know nothing about. And maybe it's because we just celebrated Easter, but this makes me think of the Cadbury Solid Bunny. I was always disappointed when I would bite into a hollow chocolate bunny, and at Easter time, right? And then the pieces come crumbling down. I felt tricked, like something was pulled over on me. One was pulled over on me. Granted, it's been a while since I've had a chocolate bunny, so maybe now they're all hollow, but I do remember experiencing a rather satisfying feeling when I would bite into that velvety, smooth, and creamy chocolate Easter bunny, and it was solid through and through. It felt like I could trust something, right? I could trust something to be what it appeared to be. So I see glamour as the hollow chocolate bunny and beauty as that solid Cadbury chocolate bunny. The poet, theologian, and philosopher John O'Donohue, who insisted that beauty was a human calling, cautioned, and by the way, the Greek root for the word beauty is related to the word calling. But at any rate, John O'Donohue noted, one of the huge confusion in our time is to mistake glamour for beauty. When I think of the word beauty, some of the faces of those I love come into my mind. When I think of beauty, I also think of beautiful landscapes that I know. Then I think of acts of such lovely kindness that have been done to me by people that cared for me in bleak, unsheltered times, or when I needed to be loved or minded. I also think of those unknown people who are real heroes for me, who you never hear about, who hold on lines on frontiers of awful want and awful situations and manage somehow to go beyond the given impoverishment and offer gifts of possibility and imagination and seeing. O'Donohue continues, beauty isn't all about just a nice loveliness. Beauty is about more rounded, substantial becoming. So I think of beauty in that sense is about an emerging fullness, a greater sense of grace and elegance, a deeper sense of depth, and also a kind of homecoming for the enriched memory of your unfolding life. So one might say that we become more and more beautiful as we gain depth, as we broaden our worldview and understanding. But I don't think we always realize that or experience beauty in that way. For example, if I ask you right now to envision beauty, what first comes to mind for you? For many of us, it's youth, maybe in the form of a young adult of a certain size, most likely white with blonde hair and blue eyes. And what you envision may very well be beauty. And it may be the mistaking of glamour for beauty that O'Donohue spoke of. And it is limiting because even in the face that you saw as the embodiment of beauty, even in that face, it would be just one manifestation of beauty. And if we stay there with just the one manifestation of it, then we have reduced it, we have reduced beauty to its most shallow side, and we have made it hollow, like that chocolate bunny. There is this much wider world that we live in where we are surrounded by beauty all the time, like the music you heard a little while ago. And this beauty, though, is happening around us among all the ugliness and evil that's happening. And sometimes that evil and that ugliness take our attention away from the beauty. So it becomes commonplace, right? Because it's not necessarily screaming at us. It's just there quietly being itself. The trees, simply in doing what they do, swaying, dancing to the tune of a breeze, providing us shade or oxygen, and offer us calmness by their presence. Sunsets and sunrises giving us joy. The oceans and other bodies of water flowing, the day itself. The sound of music, either in nature or by gifted companions. People doing their part to improve the lives of others, not just of the humankind. Think about it. We live in a time where you could be sitting here right now, and then by tonight find yourself on the West Coast taking care of an ailing parent. That is amazingly beautiful and awesome. There is beauty in our ingenuity. We are the architects of the world that continues to unfold before us. We decide every day whether to tilt it toward beauty, which feeds our souls, or ugliness and destruction. There is beauty in our righteous anger about the injustices of the world, and our efforts to rid ourselves of isms, or at least become more aware of how they affect how we engage the world. There is beauty in our aspiration to live our call for social justice, not necessarily in doing it perfectly, but in the work itself. As Reverend Lynch said in our call to worship, when we teach or learn or work for justice, beauty abounding sparks joy in all. And for those who participated in the parade last year, what more beautiful sight could there have been that day? All those vibrant colors, people smiling happily, chatting, and the joy, and sometimes even the astonishment we witnessed when on some faces as our float would go by, pointing to us and saying, "Oh my God, that's a church," and thanking us simply for doing what our faith calls us to do as Unitarian Universalists. That was beauty manifested. It wasn't perfect, but it was beautiful. And that is the point here. At the core of it, beauty is primarily about how we are in the world, because how we engage the world determines how we experience beauty. It can be all around us, yet escape our awareness. And like Odina, you said, and I believe that our soul hungers for it, and we feel most alive in its presence. And it returns us, often in fleeting moments, he said, to our highest selves. So, beloveds, I invite you not to limit it, not to limit your experience of beauty. I invite you to allow all the manifestation of it to enter your life. I implore you with the words of Reverend Savage to simply let beauty in. May we all do so. And once again, please rise in body or spirit and join me in singing our closing hymn, number 1004, Busca el Amor. Words will be on the screen. The world is too beautiful to be praised by only one voice. May you have the courage to sing your part. The world is too broken to be healed by only one set of hands. May you have the courage to use your gifts. May you go in peace. Eric Williams. Beloveds, worship has ended, and now the service truly begins.
Please join me in the words while we extinguish our chalice. We extinguish the flame, but not the light of truth, the warmth of community, or the fire of commitment. These we carry in our hearts until we are together again.
Thank you guys so much for coming out. It's a little crazy, but thank you. It's beautiful. And I know that they didn't know what was coming, so they were like, what's that?